Hello there and welcome back to another one of my thrilling videos. It's great to be back. So today I'm going to be looking at the Canon Powershot SX230 HS. And if you're curious, the HS simply means that the camera is GPS enabled. I mean, that's quite self-explanatory, isn't it? HS means, if anybody knows, I still can't figure out what it means, HS, but it means it's GPS enabled. What does HS stand for? Yeah, it's quite a nice little camera actually, and I kind of hope you enjoy the review today. Without further ado, just going to kind of crack straight on with it. So I purchased this camera on the 11th of March of this year, 2023, from Facebook Marketplace from a lovely guy, and I paid £25 for the camera, which I thought was very fair. So a little bit about this camera. This camera launched in and around the spring of 2011 for the princely sum of £400, and if you factor in kind of inflation in today's money, that would be 410 UK pounds. So wasn't a cheap camera necessarily, depends how much money you got, I suppose, but anyway, it seemed to be a hit at the time. Most of the reviews which I can find kind of put it in and around like 4 or 4.5 kind of out of 5. And the camera actually also won an award at the time that it launched. It was a Tipper Award for Best Super Zoom Camera. And if you was interested, Tipper, or Typer, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, stands for Technical Image Press Association. And they hosted that event in London on the 30th of June 2011. Who would have known? Just very little bit about this camera. It can capture images up to 12.1 megapixels. I must say the 0.1 really irritates me. I don't know, like, you know, they're working on the sensor and they kind of go, right, we can do 12 megapixels? No, 12.1 megapixels. And they go, can you show us what the 1.1 actually looks like? And they're like, no. Okay, but we're just going to make it not 13 megapixels, not 12.5, 12.1. Something about that jars me. But anyway, it can capture 12.1 megapixels. It has a fixed 28mm wide lens, which is quite cool. And considering it is a super zoom camera, you know, having a kind of a wide field of view and kind of zooming is quite useful. And it also had the Digic 4 sensor inside of it, and for those of you that didn't know, which included me because I was doing my research, that same sensor, the Digic 4 sensor, was inside the Canon 5D Mark II. So that was also quite cool to have the same sensor that was in that camera, and it also included image stabilization. Now, if you haven't already figured it out, but maybe you haven't, so I'll tell you anyway, I'm actually filming on the camera right now. So this is the video coming from the Canon Powershot SX230 HS. Such a stupid name. So anyway, just very briefly, the reason I wanted to pick this camera up was because I'd kind of been missing my old Sony Cybershot camera, which I think I got as a birthday present in like 2007. And that allowed me to shoot really good macro photography. And ironically, I sold it to a nature enthusiast, the Sony Cybershot, because he wanted to do macro photography. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'm missing it. So that's kind of really why I wanted to get one of these types of cameras again. And there was nothing to suggest that this particular camera was any good at macro, but I had kind of like a good working knowledge of these kind of compact cameras. And I knew that the majority of these cameras had that functionality. But we'll do a little bit more on the macro photography later. There'll be a nice little video. So I think now we're just going to have a quick look at the camera. It's not going to be too in-depth, because remember, I'm not an expert, but rather a simple-minded enthusiast. You can take that as you will. But I have actually got a physical copy digitally of this manual. So if anybody wants it, they can email me, just look in my info section. But I'm also going to include the link in the description, so if anybody wants to have a more in-depth look at what this camera can actually do, because I probably won't mention everything, then you can get that from there. So yeah, okay, so let's just have a little look at the camera, and then I've made a lovely video compendium, compilation. You use what word that you like, and you can kind of let me know what you think. Okay, so just before we look at the camera, I'm just going to show you what I got when I purchased the camera. So just going to move the camera out of the way for a moment. So it's really lucky actually. I got it in its box, and it's pretty much complete. Obviously nothing much too exciting on the front here, but there again there's the sticker for the award it received. And then you can just see the things we spoke about earlier on. Digic 4 sensor, 12.1 megapixel, 28mm wide lens, and GPS enabled. So just kind of all the bells and whistles as you would usually expect on a box like this, just telling you kind of the other stuff. Full HD, Smart Auto 32 scenes, advanced subject direct detection, I don't know what that is, movie button, optical image stabilizer, movie digest, servo AF/AE, high-speed burst, handheld night scene, which I haven't actually used, and your 7.5 centimeter or 3 inches wide LCD. So yeah, that's the box. Yeah, I'm sure you kind of know. So what did I get in the box? So obviously I got the charger, which is useful. I got 2 spare batteries, got thrown in as well, which was cool. Got the power adapter. Got the interface cable. I've got the AV cable, and then just kind of the instructions, and just kind of use your bump, the CD for software and things like that. So pretty much complete. So I was really pleased with that. So that's what I got in the box. Now let's have a look at the camera. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the star of the show, the Canon Powershot SX230 HS. So it's a pretty sleek camera. There's not much to look at on the front of the camera. Really nice kind of weighty kind of camera, nice weight to it. So on the front here we have a little lamp here, and that's usually what you'd use for, say, your self timer, or sometimes you get that kind of little guiding light, don't you? It kind of shows you where the flash is going to fire. But that's the lamp. Then we have like 2 little holes here, or little indents, whatever you really want to call them, and that's your stereo microphones, your left and your right, so you don't really want to cover those up. And then on the front you can see all the information about the lens, Canon zoom lens, 14 times zoom, you can see there, optical zoom, image stabilization, and then it's 5.0 to 70mm. So that's the front of the camera. So if we just turn it around now, so just have a look at the back of the camera. So I just get that to focus up. There you go. Oh, it's just started raining outside. So here we are on the back of the camera. You can see it says full HD. Oh, sorry about that. It's focusing on the actual screen. You've got the on-off button at the top here, and then you have your mode dial just here. So we'll talk about that very briefly. You have your record button for when you want to record video. You can see me there. You have your review button, so when you want to review pictures and stuff like that, or video, then you press that button there. Then you have your display, so that's for on-screen display, and then your menu button, so basically go for your menus. And then right here you have your dial, so that will help you to select whatever you want within the menus. And then your function select, and again that's just to select things within the menus. Now one little, I think, little flaw about this camera is when you turn it on, I do it all the time, and some of the reviews I've read, the people seem to do that all the time, is that you always leave your thumb or your finger on the top here, and when you turn it on the flash pops up automatically. So it's kind of a little bit irritating, because I've done it so many times, I just have my finger on it and it doesn't open. But the good news is you can shut it, so if we open it, if we press the power button here, that is how it's supposed to be. But if you don't want that flash up, you can just shut it down like so. And you can also just, there's a little tiny little lip on the side there. I'll focus for me. There you go. And you can just cut my nails. There we go. Can't get the thing up. There you go. So you can just lift it up and down like that. So in regards to the zoom, this is currently at the standard 28mm, but if we want to zoom in, oh, excuse me, and that's as far as you go, and that's full extension, 14 times zoom. Takes about 2 seconds, I'd say, to kind of zoom in and out. And then whilst we're on the back, I'm just going to bring this in because I want it to focus up on the front here. So as you can see, this is my desk, and what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to rotate the dial here. So currently at the moment we are in recording mode and we've got low battery, so I better be quick about it. So we're going to go around here. So this is all quite self-explanatory. We have manual mode, aperture priority mode, shutter speed priority mode, programmable mode, automatic mode, easy mode for those of you that are new to cameras, and then you have movie digest. I haven't looked into movie digest, but it seems like it just takes a clip or a shot of something each day and it will make it into a movie. all your standard kind of shooting options: portrait mode, landscape mode, kids and pets, no idea why you want that, smart shutter mode, miniature effect. I've tried using that, it doesn't look like a miniature. I must be doing something wrong. And then back into your standard shooting mode. So like here, we just press that record button and we can start shooting. And obviously there's loads and loads of things within the menu. You've got just before I continue, you've got like your on-screen display buttons here, like so. But you go into your menus, there's a lots of stuff like you can do in these menus, and I'm not going to be going into everything in this video, just to give you an overview of the camera. So we're going to just turn the camera off. Just going to have a look at the top here. So again, it's just reminding us it's 12.1 megapixels. On the top here, you've got these little holes, and that's your speaker, so it does playback. You can listen to playback on the camera, which is always nice. You've got your zoom lever on the top here, so you know, pull it one way or the other to zoom in and out, and then remind you that this is GPS enabled. And effectively, all this does is, if you're outside, and it generally works the best outside, if you take a photograph, it will capture the longitude and the latitude of where you are. And I think what happened was, back in the day, you would get the software, put it onto your computer, and then you could upload the pictures onto Google Maps or Google Earth. So that was quite a nice little touch. So apologies, the sun kind of coming through my window is making it hard for me to see. So right here, this is cool. This has actually got an HDMI AV out. So obviously, if you've got, say for example, like me, an Atomos Ninja Star, or anything, say for example, like a capture card, as long as you can get a mini HDMI, which just goes to the Atomos device, and this one is a mini HDMI, then you can record directly to those devices. I don't actually have a mini HDMI out cable that runs into my Atomos, so I can't test it. But then also here you also have like the AV port as well, so if you want to get your AV out, audio video out, then that's where you do it. But really cool that it's got an HDMI out on that. I was actually really impressed. And that is about it. Got your standard little tripod pop on the bottom. Oh yeah, and I probably shouldn't forget, obviously you got your standard battery and you get a standard memory card. So at the moment I'm just using a cheap 32 gig memory card, and the batteries that you get with this, I think this is the official one, just a standard battery pack, MB5L. So yeah, that's the camera. So let's now jump into basically what I would consider to be my review of the camera. I hope that overview is okay, and remember that if you want the manual for this camera, I'll leave a link in the description, or if you want a physical copy, if you can't find it, let me know, email me and I will send you a copy. Okay, let's go straight into the video. Okay, so you join me on the 30th of March 2023. I'm just parked up in a park and ride over in Norwich, as I've got to go over to the University of East Anglia as part of my job. So I thought, well, what a good opportunity to take the little Canon with me, the Canon SX230 HS, and to give it a little bit of a test, road trip as you will. It's currently shooting in 1080p, I believe, 24 frames per second. And yeah, I mean, what do you think of this video? I think it's okay, to be fair, for considering the age of the camera. But anyway, I'm going to take the camera with me over the next couple of days, take some video, and also going to take some pictures, and then we can, you know, figure out as to whether or not this is a good camera to pick up in 2023. Who knows? But yeah, I better go because I've got to get the bus into the UEA, and I'll see you later. Okay, good morning. So you joined me on the 2nd of April 2023 and I'm continuing my review of the Canon Powershot SX230 HS. Now, a little bit different today. I'm filming this currently on my DJI Osmo Pocket and I'm using the audio connector to it so I can get much better audio. Now I'm recording it in this to give you a comparison. At the moment I'm recording in 1080 25 frames per second. That's because the Canon can only shoot up to 1080 24 frames per second, and considering that the DJI Osmo Pocket came out in early 2019 and the Canon kind of came out kind of early 2011, it's kind of like an 8-year gap. So right now obviously I'm recording on the DJI Osmo Pocket, so I realise I'm not looking at the camera there, but yeah, we'll keep that. But now we're going to jump over to the Canon just to give you a kind of comparison of the type of footage. So we're going to jump over right now. So that was the DJI Osmo Pocket, and now I'm talking to you on the Canon camera. And as you can see, I've got the lovely surroundings here of my Grandad Mobile. And anybody that doesn't know what I mean, that's basically just an old car that a Grandad would drive. So the reason that I'm here today, I've just drove to a place called Corton. It's just like a little coastal area, just outside of Lowestoft. And I'm going to take my tripod down to the beach. Now I'm going to put the Canon camera on the tripod. It does have image stabilization, but just for the purposes of kind of a video test, I'm going to go between the DJI Osmo Pocket and the Canon camera, just to give you a kind of comparison of what the little Canon is capable of. I think it's fantastic, but you will be the judge. So let's go and do that right now. Okay, so just walking down toward the beach just in front of me, obviously shooting on the Canon. This is using just the standard internal microphone. Image stabilization is on, and the wind cut is on, so hopefully you can hear me over the wind because that has been activated. So I'll come back shortly. Okay, so as you can now see and hear, down here on the beach, I'm recording via the microphone adapter on the DJI Osmo Pocket, so hopefully the audio is a little bit better, but it's pretty windy down here. So I'm shooting in 1080 25 frames per second on the Osmo Pocket. Now I'm just going to turn the Canon camera on, and now we're going to shoot in 1080 24 frames per second down here. So I'm now going to press the record button and we're going to go over to the Canon camera. Let's now go back to the Osmo Pocket video and we're going to see what the difference is. So we're going to jump straight back over right now. So for video comparison purposes, we're only 1 frame a second difference, both shooting in high definition, but I suppose it all really comes down to the camera's sensor and what it's able to catch. So I think, to be fair, I'll have to go back to the Canon now and just kind of give that a little move around as well. So I'm now going to head back over to the Canon and we're going to just give it a little left and right pan on the tripod. So I'm going to go back over to the Canon now. So back on the Canon, so let's just have a comparison purpose. Hopefully you can still hear me. Just going to pan it round. Nothing too smart. Oh, lifted the tripod up there. But again, just remember that this camera, the Canon, came out in 2011. And the Osmo Pocket came out in 2019. So I suppose it really comes down to kind of, I suppose, what you're after. You want high-end effect, or if you're happy with a kind of standard high definition. I mean, I'm really impressed with the Canon. Really impressed. But I just kind of thought this would be a good kind of opportunity to kind of do a comparison. But as you can tell, it's pretty windy down here. So I'm going to now head back over to the Osmo Pocket right now So yeah, pretty windy down here. So I can say, what do you think? What do you think of the quality between them both? I mean, ideally, you know, this camera is shooting pretty much what I'm shooting on here, but as I say, it all kind of comes down to sensor. So just wanted to do this little test for you today, and let me know what you think. It's recording, it's just recording you, but I'm just doing it for a video, another video I'm making.
Wait, are you going to stay out here? So I'm going to show you mine.
Oh, remember those moon shoots?
Yeah, moon. What's this like in a real film thing? Yeah. Actually, no, I'm not going to keep it. You're not going to keep it? No. Throw away, Kyle. Lil, look. Lil. Yeah. Let's see who can throw it higher. Look, we can each have a colour each. So these are mine, that's yours. That's one. Ooh, that's pretty good. No, you got it. You have to empty all yours out, then I have to. And I'm not actually
No. That's it. Well done. I'll get this.
A bad person tomorrow because she was pissed.
She was big. Luke won't care.
He won't care.
Thought we'd just finish things off with a little bit of macro photography, because this was actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to get a small digital camera again, because I missed doing macro photography. So I've just got a few images here, as you can see. Here is my old Nokia. Took a really nice macro picture of that, and as you can see here, just getting really close in on the buttons, kind of see the dust, the kind of the dimples of the black plastic. And this was one of the first ones that I took a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I really was surprised at just how good the macro was on this. So we're going to have another look at a different image. Let's go to some writing. These are the notes that I made whilst I was making this video, and again, if you zoom in, you can start to see little particles of paper. You kind of see the strokes of my writing. And again, I was quite surprised there. You could really almost see where the ink was stronger than other places. So there you go. That's some writing. Next up, my mobile phone. This is quite disgusting. They say that phones are dirtier than toilet seats. Is that right? But if you have a zoom in here, you can just see the amount of crud and rubbish. Looks like some sort of like weird gestation coming out the bottom of my phone speaker there, which made me feel a bit uncomfortable when I first zoomed in. But yeah, you can see pretty good. Really shows up kind of all the detritus and all the dirt that kind of accrues you know, in our mobile devices. And then just one more picture. This is just a sleeve of a shirt I own, like a padded shirt. And it's a really good opportunity just to have a look at the fibres, a little close-up look, and kind of you can see where the fibres are more colourful or there's less colour in some of them, and even the material that it was placed on, you can see the threads. So yeah, I think it's quite a good little macro camera actually. So what do you think? Oh, and one more thing, I couldn't resist. Just as I was tidying up after doing some shooting, I found this old 1-cent coin from 1981, which I brought back with me from the States a number of years ago. And I thought, I must do that, macro photography. So here you have me having taken the picture of the 1-cent coin. I'm just showing you at the moment, like the little dinks and imperfections in the coin. And also here, some discoloration around the head right there. And I was again just like, I don't know, I was just really impressed because, you know, you're really seeing the age of this coin, which you just really can't see with the naked eye. So I took a picture obviously of the front of the coin and then obviously the back or the heads and the tail. And again, this one I just kind of angled it a little bit differently to kind of capture the light hitting it. You can see the bottom part is slightly out of focus, but that's okay. And also, if you can see right here where I'm moving the little cursor around now, I noticed that there was a tiny person standing in what I believe is the Lincoln Memorial, and I'd never ever realised that that was there before. Not that I should, but I thought maybe it was like a dink or an imperfection on the coin, but actually meant to be a representation of Lincoln within the memorial. And having been there myself, I never actually realised that this was actually also a thing that was actually represented on the coin. And we just have one more image here, again just zooming in just to kind of show you some of the imperfections, but again notably the figure within the memorial. So what do you think? Okay, so you know, what did you think of the Canon Powershot SX230 HS? Let me just double check that I'm saying that right. Yes, that is the right camera name. To be perfectly honest, I had a really fun time with this camera. I didn't initially think I was going to have as much fun with it, and when I say fun, I think it's just a very capable little camera. And a good friend of mine actually commented about this camera, and he kind of said maybe what it is that this camera is sitting right in the middle of kind of, it's not really trendy, it's not really retro, it's just a camera that's kind of, you know, where are we now, like 12 years old, and it's kind of, people go, oh, well, that's not capable anymore, I'd rather get that. But maybe in like 10 years time, people might be kind of like, you know, grasping to get the camera. So I think it's kind of sitting in a strange place at the moment. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the review, and this is me signing off, so I'll see you all next time. Cheers.